Hello and welcome back. Today we are looking at Icon issue 5 from Milestone in DC. This one picks up where we left off with Icon facing down with the Blood Syndicate. We're learning more about Raquel and her pregnancy. The first page is kind of recapping a little bit of what happened, from Raquel's perspective. She's journaling. But at the top of the second page, which is a big 2-page spread, we get a little recap about what happened when Icon landed on Earth in 1839, and then we get the present and a little recap of how Raquel Irvin convinced the alien, now August Freeman IV, to become a hero. And although he hasn't found his way home, according to this, he is the hero of Dakota. He may have found something better. They're talking about the tear gas incident on known as the Big Bang on Paris Island that killed a whole bunch of gang members, and the survivors were mutated and formed a group called the Blood Syndicate, which is effectively, as near as I could tell, just a common street gang with superpowers. And they're not very likable people. This issue has them just attacking Icon. They're not listening to anything he has to say, and they're trying to kill him, honestly. It's a pretty good fight scene. He really takes them on. We learn the names of everybody. We've got Third Rail, Flashback, Masquerade, Brickhouse, Boogeyman, DMZ, Wise Son, and Dog, who's an actual dog that can talk. Now, these guys are effectively supervillains. Very unlikable street thugs who speak more with their fists than with their brains. And Brickhouse is, I would have to say he's like a knockoff of the Thing from Marvel Comics, but with dreadlocks. He even kind of looks like the Thing in a lot of pictures, except instead of just rock, he's brick, which is rather unimaginative. The interesting thing really happens with Raquel. She has a heart-to-heart with her grandma, and her grandmother tells her that after her grandfather died, they had to move to the projects, and her mom came back pregnant with you. Of course, the father was nowhere around, and she says, I had to raise you most of your life, and she says, I guess I didn't do too good a job. And Raquel's about to say something when Grandma says, hush, this is all I gotta say. I love you, Raquel, but I ain't raising no more children. Well, that's supportive. So then it cuts back over to Icon having a little showdown, and he recognizes the outfit, this really flamboyant outfit of this character DMZ, who doesn't talk apparently, but he recognizes him as an alien, and he says, does your ship have a communication device? Where's your ship? But just before he can get any information out of him, the rest of Blood Syndicate shows up, and DMZ takes off. Of course, the Blood Syndicate thinks he's crazy, and he goes to chase after him, but Flashback, who apparently has time manipulation powers, returns Icon to where he was, and then says Icon's about to fly, stop him. The big guy, whose name is Third Rail, who apparently can absorb energy and become large, sits on him, and then they have a knockdown, but Icon's getting pretty worn out. Then we're back over to Raquel, who confronts Noble, the boyfriend thug from issue 1, and tells him that she's pregnant, and after a long pause, he says, how do you know it was me? And she decks him, which he deserves. So that didn't go so well, but we find out Blood Syndicate is pretty much down for the count. They beat the crap out of him. He almost won. And the last page is a full page spread of this guy, Wise Son, who doesn't seem very smart, says, kill this mother beeper. And of course it's scrawled out. I think if you're gonna bleep the swearing, don't have your character swearing. It's unnecessary if you can't use the word for effect. That's kind of lazy writing in my opinion, but that's a major complaint I have with a lot of comic books, is either pointless swearing or this censored, useless swearing. If it's censored, it's not effective and you're not getting the word across to have the effect you want and the desired outcome. And most of the time swearing is really ineffective anyway. It just shows a lack of vocabulary and a lack of imagination on the part of the characters and the writer. But anyway, Dwayne McDuffie did a great job. This is a very action-packed issue. MD Bright did a good job with the pencils. Mike Gustafovich, inker, I think I pronounced that right. Jay Brown, colorist. Steve Dorato, Dutro, letterer. Yeah, everybody did a great job. It was a fun book. I'm real intrigued to read issue 6. Hopefully I'll get that one up today too, because this was just such a fun book. I really like this one. I'm real glad I kept kept on reading, because this one really got me back into it. Although I find Blood Syndicate to be very unlikable characters. They're very much just street thugs from what I could see. Very, very uninteresting people, and just power and territory is all they care about. They don't seem to appreciate their unique abilities beyond gaining power. They're super villains as far as I could tell. I'm intrigued to see where it goes. I do have some issues of Blood Syndicate, which I will be reading at some point in the near future. I know I have most of the issues up to the Shadow War, which crosses over to some of the other books. So I'm thinking I'll probably before I get to the Shadow War, I'll probably jump over to one of those books. But until then, I'm not real impressed with Blood Syndicate. They look like super villains. But that's how this one looked. It was a good read. Very fast-paced, good jumping on point, I think. You get a little bit of a recap, and there's enough there to really make it a fun adventure story. But you do need to get issue 6 in order to find out what happens. I'm intrigued for that, and hopefully I'll have that one up today. Until then, thanks as always for listening, and we hope to see you on the next one.